From a prince with a big secret to a pair of twins with some unique talents. This is every new character you need to know in Shadow and Bone Season 2. It's been almost 2 long, excruciating years since Shadow and Bone was first released. We've been patiently waiting, and ladies and gentlemen, it's here. Season 2 of Shadow and Bone is finally upon us, and I couldn't be more excited. But we have some things to talk about. When Shadow and Bone was released on Netflix in 2021, they weren't sure how well it would do. In fact, there was some concern about whether there'd even be a Season 2. But there was one thing Netflix knew they could fall back on: Shadow and Bone's loyal fans. Now, how could a show that just came out already have a large fan base? It's simple. The book series had already been out for almost a decade. Oh, and so had the Six of Crow books. These 2 book series were both written by Leigh Bardugo, and the Shadow and Bone Netflix series is an adaptation of both. Still, there was no guarantee this adaptation would work on the screen. Spoiler, it did! The show ended up being a massive success, topping the streaming charts with over 1 billion minutes streamed in its second week of release. Whoa! To put that number into perspective, that would equal over 1,900 years. Again, whoa! It only took a few months for Netflix to announce Season 2 of the show. And after 2 long years, we finally have it. Season 2 of Shadow and Bone is here, and we have a lot to talk about. Naturally, things have changed in Ravka. New stories, new conflicts, new characters. If you read the books, you might be familiar with some of these new characters, and you almost might notice some striking differences. We'll start at the top of the social ladder. Nikolai Lantsov, or should I say Sturmhond. Played by Patrick Gibson, Lantsov is one of the more beloved characters from the book trilogy, and his introduction in the Netflix show starts off rocky. Lying about his true identity, he hid behind his fake name Sturmhond. If this name sounds familiar, it's because it's actually the fake name he gave himself in the books. However, it didn't quite go down like that. In the book series, he actually had an alter ego. And what was this alter ego's name? You guessed it, Sturmhond. This name was what he used while at sea, in order to prevent people from knowing his true identity. In the show, his time as Sturmhond was much shorter. We quickly learn in Season 2 that he is the second son of the King of Ravka, which would make him the prince and second in line to the throne. As if the question of his true identity wasn't already confusing, there's been speculation about the legitimacy of his birth. And considering how Season 2 comes to an end, I have a feeling those speculations might come to light if we're lucky enough to get a 3rd season. After all, it's his coronation that comes under attack. Could part of this be because of the questions surrounding his true birth? Only time will tell.
I aim to stand in his way.
This country has clearly been destroyed. My question is...
Next up, we take a page from the Six of Crow books. In fact, he's a literal crow. A crow by the name of Wylan Hendricks. Wylan is played by Jack Wolf, who delivers a sensational performance. It's a good thing, because this is a difficult character to play.
It's just trial and error.
With explosives.
I honestly didn't know that you could read.
Wylan is someone who will quickly capture your heart. He's not your typical crow. He's kind, compassionate, and shows a level of respect that isn't normal for his situation. Again, if you're a fan of the books, you might not be familiar with a character by the name of Wylan Kendricks. That's because his name was changed for the Netflix series. The director said the name change was thoughtful and deliberate, mainly to keep online spoilers away from those who haven't read the books. Smart. Kendricks was actually based on the character Wylan Van Eck from Six of Crows. Like the Shadow and Bone trilogy, Six of Crows is a novel by Leigh Bardugo. Although the series is mainly an adaptation of the original trilogy, it also brought in elements from Six of Crows. And if you're a fan of this book, you might like the teaser at the end of this video, but we'll get to that. First, let's take a look at yet another new character. This time, it's another Grisha member, the younger brother of Nadia, Adric Zabine, played by Alistair Nwachukwu. This character has some pretty powerful tricks up his sleeves. In his younger years, he studied at the Little Palace's School for Young Grisha, and it's a good thing he did. Showing his unending bravery, Adric refused to evacuate so he could stay and fight. After the Darkling attacked, he was one of the few who actually survived. Whew, thank goodness. I couldn't handle another death. Oh, and did I mention these were his feats from the books? In the show, we don't get nearly as much info on the young Grisha. We do know that he's a member of the Therialki Order, and that he's a squaller. This means he can control the air around him, manipulate wind, summon storms. Psh, I could do that. Okay, maybe not. If we do get a Season 3 of Shadow and Bone, I think we'll see more of young Adric. The next members of our new characters aren't ones that you'll be too excited about. Members of the Darkling's army. These two are sure to cause nothing but trouble. Vladim and Frushi. Every show needs villains, right? They don't have to be this annoying though. Frushi, played by Rachel Redford, and Vladim, played by Shobit Piazza, are two important characters that were introduced in Season 2. The two are powerful forces in the Darkling's army, and each brings different powers to the table. Frushi is a Tide Maker and a member of the Therialki Order. Being a Tide Maker means she can control water, which is even cooler than it sounds. No, literally, she can freeze water and use it as a weapon. Cool! Vladim's powers seem a bit darker. As a member of the Fabricator Order, he has the ability to manipulate chemicals and poisons. As with many of the characters in this show, their story is a bit different in the book. Vladim actually turned to help Alina and fight the Darkling, which could possibly be something we see in the future of the show. Frushi isn't even in any of the books. Talk about some quick character development. Last but certainly not least, we have a set of twins that have joined us in the fight against evil. Tamarkir Batar and Toila Yulbatar. The two are Grisha and fight alongside Nikolai. Both are powerful heartrenders, which means they have the ability to control the human body, or should I say other people's bodies, from the inside. Ouch!
Are you willing to sacrifice?
In the books, the twins volunteer to go up against the Darkling army, while the rest of the crew draw straws to see who does. Although this exact scenario doesn't happen in the show, it shows their tendency to act as heroes. I think we can expect to see these two even more as we move forward in this storyline. Overall, the characters in this new season are familiar, but very different from those in the books. The ending seems to set up an even bigger twist with these books. I won't give too many spoilers here, but we could be getting a spin-off for the Six of Crows books. There are even fan theories that we are set up for more than 5 more seasons. And when those get announced, I can't wait to tell you all about the newest characters. There you have it. This was every new character you needed to know about in Shadow and Bone Season 2.